The angel of the Lord. Rashi says in his introduction to Zechariah chapter 1, the prophecy of Zechariah is extremely enigmatic because it contains visions resembling a dream that requires an interpretation. We cannot ascertain the truth of this interpretation until the teacher of righteousness comes. Nonetheless, I will put my heart to recounseling the verses one by one, according to the interpretations that resemble it, and follow the interpretation of Jonathan. This is God's test for the Jewish people, in particular the Jewish leaders. God's test of who the descendant of David is. The man described in Isaiah 53, the teacher of righteousness. That's who Rashi, known as one of the first rabbis to say that Isaiah 53 described the people, the Jewish people, as the patriarch Israel. Then here he is in Zechariah, saying we got to have to know the truth of at least chapter 1 of Zechariah, to know its truth, because we can't do it. And no Jewish man, religious, academic, commentator, or otherwise, has ever had the answer to this. And yet this video is going to give it to you. Why? I'm the teacher of righteousness. This is Zechariah chapter 1, verses 7 through 12. That's the preamble that Rashi leads into before he starts his commentary. And this is in midrash form. That's where I take parts of a verse and interpret each in individual segments. Verse 7. On the 24th day of the 11th month of the second year of Darius, the month of Shabbat, this word of the Lord came to the prophet Zechariah, son of Berechiah, son of Edo. This word of the Lord. This verse continues with, in the night I had a vision, which is not a word of the Lord. The word of the Lord coming to Zechariah means the messenger of the words of God has come to Zechariah, who is the angel of God's presence, and the word of the Lord. Literally, that's his name. He has alighted upon Zechariah to bring a vision from God. Not a word, a vision. Verse 8. In the night I had a vision. I saw a man mounted on a bay horse standing among the myrtles in the deep, and behind him were bay, sorrel, and white horses. In the night I had a vision. There's a man on a horse standing in the myrtles. He is later referred to as the angel of the Lord, standing in the myrtles. The angel of the Lord alights upon and enters men, and my name, Hashem, is in him and can speak through the man. Zechariah has an angel with him who is his guide in the vision. The deep is like a valley Zechariah is looking down on, filled with myrtle trees, and then an open area below that is where the bay, sorrel, and white horses are. Verse 9. I asked, what are those, my Lord? And the angel who talked with me answered, I will let you know what they are. What are those, my Lord? Zechariah is not talking to the angel. That's an angel. It's not my Lord. Who answered, but who never lets him know what they are. he is asking the man standing among the myrtles on a bay horse about the horses in the open area and calls him my Lord. Verse 10. Then the man who was standing among the myrtles spoke up and said, these were sent out by the Lord to roam the earth. Then the man who was standing among the myrtles spoke up and said, again, this is midrash form. Okay, so the man standing in the myrtles answers the question of Zechariah, not the angel who is with Zechariah. Verse 11, and in fact, they reported to the angel of the Lord, who was standing among the myrtles. We have roamed the earth and have found all the earth dwelling in tranquility. And it is like a dream. We have horses talking. You know, they could have been birds. Anything that can go far and go a long ways out and then come back. In this case, for this story or for this dream that was given Zechariah, it's horses. And in fact, they reported to the angel of the Lord. They who reported are the horses who have gone to and fro throughout the earth, and they spoke the report to the angel of the Lord, who was standing among the myrtles. The angel of the Lord, who was standing among the myrtles, has alighted upon and entered the man standing amongst the myrtles. The angel of the Lord is using this man as his visible presence. You cannot see the angel of the Lord. Just as he once used a burning bush for his visible presence, and God spoke through him to Moses. Not just as his visible presence, he also used the man to say, these were sent out by the Lord to roam the earth. In other words, it sounded like the answer was coming from this man, but it's coming from the angel of the Lord, and God is in that angel, his presence, because that's the angel of his presence. You can find that in Isaiah chapter 63. I don't recall the verse. I never see anything on the angel of his presence. Wherever God's presence is, the presence that enters the temple, I never hear any mention of the angel that has to do with him. Why? It's the angel of his presence, who is the angel of the Lord. Yeah, I believe, and I'm not certain about this, but I've heard it at least one or two times, and that is Christianity believes the angel of the Lord is Jesus Christ. Thereupon the angel of the Lord exclaimed, O Lord of hosts, how long will you withhold pardon from Jerusalem and the towns of Judah, which you placed under a curse 70 years ago? Thereupon the angel of the Lord exclaimed. Okay, so the angel of the Lord exclaimed through the man. Zechariah heard the words come from the man standing in the myrtles. It is the only way Zechariah could have heard the words. The angel of the Lord can only speak to the man he has alighted upon. Ezekiel describes this as, a spirit entered into me and set me upon my feet, and I heard what was being spoken to me. O Lord of hosts, how long will you withhold pardon from Jerusalem and the towns of Judah, which you placed under a curse 70 years ago? The following verses are from the book of Isaiah regarding this curse. Isaiah chapter 43, verse 2. So I profaned the holy princes. I abandoned Jacob to proscription and Israel to mockery. That, of course, is God speaking. The profaning of the holy princesses is God's prophecy of the banishment of King Jeconiah and all his offspring from ever ruling over Judah and Jerusalem again. The line of the kings of Judah ended. The line described king by king in the first book of the New Testament of Christianity. the line of Jesus. The abandonment and mockery are God's prophecy that the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom of the Israelites will be defeated and deported from the promised land. Isaiah witnessed the deportation of the northern kingdom, but the deportations of the southern kingdom were many years after his death. This is chapter 43, verses 5 through 7. Fear not, for I am with you. I will bring your folk from the east, will gather you out of the west. I will say to the north, give back, and to the south, do not withhold. Bring my sons from afar, and my daughters from the end of the earth. All who are linked to my name, who I have created, formed, and made for my glory. Okay, this is God's prophecy that all the tribes of Israel will return from the Assyrian deportations of the tribes east of the river Jordan that were Reuben, Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh, and all the tribes of the northern kingdom deported by Assyria, defeated and deported, and the Babylonian deportations of the southern kingdom. It is a prophecy that is specific to the Assyrian Babylonian exiles. This prophecy was fulfilled according to the books of Ezra and Nehemiah and their account of all 13 tribes returning to the southern kingdom of the lands of Benjamin and Judah. Jerusalem is within the lands of Benjamin, and his lands are considered part of the kingdom of Judah, since that is where the kings of Judah rule from. 10 tribes being lost and not returning is a myth. When the 7th month arrived, the Israelites being settled in their towns, the entire people assembled as one man in Jerusalem, as the man Israel, all of them. When the people Israel gather as one man, it is all 12 tribes who were allotted lots of the promised land, and the Levites. They did not receive a portion. They were allowed to go from lot to lot, tribe to tribe, and everybody was supposed to take care of them. The Levites, that would be Levi, the son of Levi, the priestly tribe without an allotment of the promised lands. Judahites and Benjaminites alone are not Israel, though all references to Israelites would include them. All of Israel had returned together to Jerusalem and Judah, mindful of the imported Gentiles in the northern kingdom, imported by the Assyrians, many of whom tried to stop the building of the second temple. This is why everybody returning, all 13 tribes, all went to Judah. The northern kingdom was occupied by Gentiles, I would assume Assyrians and Arabs. This is 1 Chronicles chapter 9, verses 2 and 3. The first to settle in their towns on their property were Israelites, priests, Levites, and temple servants, while some of the Judahites and some of the Benjamites and some of the Ephraimites and Manassesites settled in Jerusalem. That would be Ephraim and Manasseh. Manasseh was such a large tribe, it had to be broken in. It was broken in two. Half of it set up, their allotment was east of the river Jordan by about where Edom would be. And well, that was the tribe of Gad. Not Edom, Gilead, where the Tishbite, Elijah, the Gentile, was an inhabitant. Ramoth Gilead. Manassites, Ephraimites, and Judahites were the tribes with the largest allotment of the lands of Abraham, and Jerusalem is in the lands of the Benjamites. Those are who just got mentioned. The 3 largest lot owners. Okay, Benjamin, that's where Jerusalem is. He's important. And of course the priests, the Levites. So Ephraim and Manasseh were not lost tribes, as many believe from writings outside of the Bible. There never were lost tribes according to the Bible. Okay, so all 13 tribes returned and settled in new towns. The accounts of the deportations indicate there was not much left of the old towns. There is no account of how the new towns were settled, though it is unlikely it was based on prior ownership. The exile lasted too long for the deported owners to still be alive, and the tribes of the northern kingdom had to build new towns to live in. It also says the Levites settled in on their lands. So everybody had to pick and choose, and I'm sure the strong and wealthy got the best places, and again, many just settled in Jerusalem. Okay, this is Isaiah chapter 43, verse 14. Thus said the Lord, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, for your sake I send to Babylon. I will bring down all her bars, and the Chaldeans shall raise their voice in lamentation. This is God's prophecy that Assyria would be conquered by the Babylonians, who were defeated